Hello everyone, Neil from Diagonal Move here. Tonight I'm playing Bomber Boys, which is a solo-specific print and play game all about flying a bombing mission during World War II. The game is designed by Steven Aramini, and when I got hold of it a few months ago, it was completely free from PnPArcade. I believe you can get it in a few other places, but that was where I got it from, and hopefully it's still free as I record this video. I'm not sure, haven't checked, but it was worth having a look because it's a fun little game. Okay, the aim of this game then is to survive the bombing run mission long enough to destroy the target. How do we do that? Well, we have to work our way through this deck of cards here until we reach the bottom. At the bottom of that deck is a card that looks a little bit like this, which have the name of a target and some dice on it. And you need to survive the events and the enemy aircraft and other things that are in that deck of cards long enough to be able to roll the dice to try to place these correctly numbered dice on this target. How well you've done during the mission will determine how many times you get to re-roll your dice. So really it's effectively a luck mitigation game all about World War II. Now how are we going to mitigate that luck? Well, we have some crew members. We've got 10 in total: the bombardier, navigator, pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, the radio operator, and then 4 different types of gunner. Inside this deck are random events. There are some things that will help us and some enemy aircraft. Each turn we will reveal a card. What we'll do with that card depends on the type of card it is. We have items, events, and enemy activity. We can always choose to rally, which effectively means not do the action available to us on that card in return for reviving previously used actions on the crew card. So if we use an action on the crew card, you'll flip it one side, rally will pull you back up and you can play that character again. The other thing you can do with the cards depends very much on what the card is. And there's a few different types, as I mentioned, and the first one I'll show you very briefly from the other deck is this blue card, which are these items. They help you. You can take the card instead of rallying and then choose to use it during a later turn for the beneficial effect that you have on the card. This one here, for example, gives you extra ammo, and therefore you may re-roll any results that you roll on your dice, that kind of thing. You may then also have an event card. Now these you can ignore. You can just ignore them. However, if you rally them with these cards, you'll have to suffer the negative effect on the card. So for example, this one here says the next time you engage in air combat, you can only roll 2 dice for ammo. So it allows you to rally, but at a cost. The final type of card, and there's 2 different ones of these, is the enemy activity cards, as I call them, but you actually have 2 different types. There's the air enemies, so the enemy aircraft, and then there are the ground-based enemies, for example the flak guns or the flak panzers. These, you can either rally or you can attack if it's this card, or you can defend if it's the ground-based flak cards. How you do those things depends on who you have available in your crew. Now, each of your crew members has a different action. Some of them, like these gunners, they can shoot, but they have perhaps a slightly better chance of hitting depending on what you roll on your dice for that action. So, for example, here the tail gunner, if you roll at least a 4, you'll score 1 hit on the target. If you roll a 5, you'll score 2 hits, at least a 5. The ball turret over here, meanwhile, they will hit on a 4, a 5 or a 6, and they will do different amounts of damage depending on which one they are. Now, one thing to bear in mind with the shooting mechanism in this game is everybody has a line of sight as indicated by this symbol here. Here we can see 360 degrees, however we can only attack enemies with a low on their card. So for example, this enemy here is sort of 9 o'clock high, which means this ball turret cannot hit because it can only shoot low. We need to use a different character to shoot enemies coming in from that direction. So there's a few things to think about there as well. The other non-specific gunner cards can do different things. For example, we have a radio operator, and the radio operator can call in escort fighters. They can use a gun or they can evade, which is part of that defend from the ground attack enemy activity card. We have a flight engineer who can repair some minor damage, or they can shoot. The co-pilot and the pilot can do different flying related things, as you can imagine. We can spot for the gunners, which can be +1 to the ammo dice, or we can maneuver giving line of sight to somebody who cannot normally shoot a target. So for example, that low flying plane may be hit by somebody who can only normally see high targets. Pilots similar, except they can also evade. The navigator here allows you to course correct, which means removing a damage, adding a damage to remove a card from the deck. And here we have the bombardier, who gives you an extra reroll and can reroll dice as well. Okay, so there's a few different actions you can do with these crew members. The way the decks are constructed, on the back of the target card will be a set of instructions. You can either have all base cards like the Milk Run mission here, or as you progress through the difficulty settings in the game, you will have other missions which have different cards with them, and each of those cards will be specific to this particular game, and they raise the difficulty. Now, I'm not going to show you any of these without wishing to spoil the surprise for anyone who does choose to get this game, but suffice to say they're all slightly different in how they work, and the ones we're playing through today are the cards for the Nightwing mission, in which we're aiming to destroy a munitions factory. Now, the game is print and play, and everything you need to play the game with, apart from the dice, does come with the game, but tonight I'm going to be using cubes to represent damage, just to show a bit more visually where things go. Where am I going to put that damage? Well, I'm going to put it on the plane. Now we have a number of different locations, each one which is numbered from 1 through to 12. 1 to 10 are down the middle, sort of the central cabin of the plane, and then 11 and 12 are the engines. When you are damaged, you'll place a cube on the damage spot. If you're hit twice, you'll remove one of these cubes here, and that place is destroyed effectively, and the relevant crew member is eliminated and out of the game. So we don't really want to take too many minor damage, because as you remove these major damage tokens, which are these black ones, that reduces the number of rerolls you have at the end when you're trying to allocate dice to the target. On this side of the board is damage and dice, specifically for the enemy, and also these initiative dice here, which I'll come to when we do inevitably get into combat. Okay, now, very brief overview there. It's a very simple game, which we'll go into some of the more nuances as we play through. It is a pretty simple game. However, as always on the channel, if I do make any mistakes, let me know in the comments. Shared learning helps everybody, including me. Okay, so the first thing we'll do, as I said, is we'll just reveal the top card. And here we have straight away an enemy aircraft. Now this enemy aircraft has an initiative of 4, and it's attacking high from the 3 o'clock position. It's going to attack us with 1 dice. The enemy aircraft only ever attack with 1 dice, maximum of 2 attacks for any combination of cards. And basically on a 3 it will score 1 damage, and on a 6 it will score 3. So between 3, 4 and 5 you'll get 1 damage. Roll of 6 will do 3 damage to our plane. Now what we need to do is to decide whether we're going to rally or whether we're going to fight. No point rallying, we don't have any actions expended just yet, so we'll fight. And what that means is we need to choose how many dice from this selection here we're going to use to roll in combat, and any that we don't roll in combat will be our initiative value. So in order to gain the initiative ourselves, we need to roll 1 die, leaving 4 behind. If we do that, we'll get the initiative, and that means we get to attack first, basically potentially negating any attack from that plane. If we were to choose 3 dice as the initiative and roll 2, we would actually lose the initiative, meaning the enemy plane would get one of these tokens, which is a focus token and a +1 to the ammo roll. These dice, when they're rolled, are referred to as ammo. These ones that are left behind are initiative. The enemy just have basically ammo dice. So I think what I'll do then is I will roll 2, because the plane itself has a damage of 3 at the bottom now. Highly unlikely to be able to do damage worth 3 with just the 1 dice. So the enemy plane is going to attack first. And it's going to get a +1 focus as well, because it's got that higher initiative than us. So anything we roll is going to get that +1. So let's chuck this into the dice tower. And we have a 5. So it's hit us on a 6, which is very frustrating, because basically we add that 1 to the 5, meaning it's a 6, and we straight away have to assign 3 damage to our plane. Now the way that works is we take the 12-sided dice over here, and we roll it 3 times, and the locations we roll are the locations we place the damage cube. However, on here somewhere we may have an action that can negate that, but I don't think we do, because I believe the action I'm thinking of is actually an item card, which we currently don't have. So let's roll that dice 3 times and hope we don't get hit in the same place too often, because not only do we potentially lose crew, we will lose the game if the pilot and the co-pilot are both killed, or if the damage tokens are reduced to 0, or if we lose all 4 engines. Plenty of ways to lose, as in all good games. Okay, let's roll the dice the first time. We have a 12. That's one of our engines hit. Second time, rolled a 2. That is our navigator. And rolled a final time. That's a 3. So we have 3 damage straight away. Okay, now it is our turn. I'll roll the 2 ammo dice. And I've got a 6 and a 5. Okay, so this is where I need to think about what to do. We've got a plane coming in at 3 o'clock high position. Let's have a look to see what I can assign these dice to in terms of guns, and then we'll have a think about other actions. So the 3 o'clock high position we can hit with the right waist, the flight engineer, the tail gunner, or we can call in as an escort here. That's pretty much it in terms of gun actions. Or we could remove a minor damage with the navigator. But what I'm going to do with the dice for demonstration purposes, we can use the top turret to... I'll tell you what, for demonstration, we'll place the 6 on the right waist and the 5 on the gunner. That's a total of 4 damage because of the value on the cards for those numbers, meaning we have killed that plane, which is great news for us. And then what I'll do is I will use the repair action of the flight engineer to remove the damage from that pilot. We cannot remove the damage from the engine, because if you think about it, the flight engineer would have to go out onto the wing and repair the engine in midair, which is highly unlikely to have happened. But anyway, then once we've used them, we tap them and we draw the next card. Now these guys here cannot be used until we have the opportunity to rally. And as you go through the game, it does speed up quite a bit more quickly. Okay, here we have an event. Now this is one of the special events for the game. It's called the Searchlight. We cannot ignore this. We cannot discard it either. Basically, it sits on to one side, and any flak panzers in the game will do an additional damage when the time comes. So that's not good, especially so early in the game, and it's worth pointing out there's a few of these in the game and their damage effects are cumulative, so potentially a lot of damage coming from the flak panzers in the future. So that's just going to live there for now as a reminder that that's what's going to happen. Next card. We have a flak panzer. Oh joy. So we have the option to rally, which, given we've only got 3 guys, it's probably not worth the effort right now to rally, because we can't try to evade or we can't defend if we rally. So I'll pop that there. The way it would work for a ground attack is slightly different from the aircraft attack we had a minute ago. Basically, we have to choose the evade action on either the pilot or on the radio operator. We tap them and then we reduce the attack roll from the flak panzer by 2. Okay, so I'll do it with the pilot. So we've evaded. We then roll the die for the flak panzer, and we hit on I think it's a 2 actually. Yeah, we hit on a 2 with these guys doing 1 damage, or a 4 will do 2 damage. But that would be a +1 because of the searchlight in each case. Okay, we have a 3, so we've done 1 damage baseline plus the searchlight, which means we've done 2 damage. That card gets discarded. It doesn't stay, even though we don't get to attack it, it doesn't stay between turns like the aircraft does, which I probably haven't shown you, but the aircraft stay if you don't destroy them. But let's roll those 2 damage. We have a 1, so our bombardier's been hit, and a 7, which is our ball turret gunner. Okay, next card. Flak Panzer again. The luck of that is unbelievable. Okay, we will evade again with our radar operator this time. And I'll just pop that there for now. We'll roll the die. Same as before, 2 plus going to hit. We rolled a 6, meaning they're going to hit us twice, +1 for the searchlight. That's going to be 3 damage. And that's a 12. We have 2 locations for 12 and 2 locations for 11. This could be quite a short game. And a 3, our pilot is hit. Finally, a 10, our tail gunner is hit. And as before, our Flak Panzer gets discarded. And we move on now. We'll probably need to think about rallying if we can this turn. And we've got a rabbit's foot. Okay, this is an item. The benefit of taking this card is that we can re-roll a damage die when we take the effects of damage, which would be very helpful. But at this point, I'll discard it and I'll rally instead. So all these guys here can now be used again. Okay, let's keep going. We have the element of surprise event. We can ignore, or we can rally with a negative effect. Obviously we won't rally, we've just done that, so we can just ignore it. But had we chosen to rally, we would have had to have dealt with a higher initiative enemy the next time an enemy card was drawn. Those negative events can be quite unpleasant. Next up, next card, we have engine trouble. So again, we get to ignore this or play it. We will of course ignore it because we don't need to rally. But had we chosen to rally, this one would have added a minor damage to any engine. Or if there's no space left for a minor damage, one of those black major damage cubes would be added instead. Like I said, these things can be nasty if you choose to play them or if you're obliged to play them. Then we have another one. Who shuffled these? Friendly fire this time. Again, additional damage should we choose to rally, but we don't need to, so we can safely ignore. And a first aid kit. Now this time I will keep that. This allows you to remove 2 minor damage from your location, from your cabin area, which is locations 1 through 10. And we may not remove damage from our engines, again, for obvious reasons. Can't put a sticky plaster on an engine, I'm sure. Okay, so we keep that to one side, play it during one of our turns. Now we've got 5 damage in that cabin. Would it be worth playing that card now or keeping? We cannot undo one of those major damage cubes, those black cubes. So yeah, let's play it now. And let's remove it from the pilot because we don't want to crash, and the ball turret gunner. Cool. Okay, next card. An enemy aircraft. 2 initiative, coming at us from 6 o'clock high, hitting on a 2+ with 3 damage on a 6. This one has 5 damage, so that's pretty strong. Okay, what I'll do this time is I will roll 2 dice, meaning we have a +1 to our what's called the focus, or that extra modifier we can use. And I do get to go first this time, but hopefully we'll do some significant damage to it. 2 4s. And it's coming at us from the 6 o'clock high. I can boost this one to a 5, which would do 2 damage with the tail gunner. The ball turret here cannot hit. These 2 cannot hit. This one can hit for just 1 damage. So in total we'll have done 2 damage for the 5 and then 1 damage for the 4. So those guys are both exhausted, as the game refers to it. But we do pop 3 damage on that aircraft. 2 more and it's dead. but unfortunately we have to roll for that aircraft now. The aircraft do not benefit from the searchlights, and we've rolled a 1, meaning we're lucky enough for it to have missed, which is fantastic, but we haven't destroyed that aircraft, so it sits there until we draw another aircraft, and slowly but surely these enemies build up around us. But let's keep going. Flak Panzer. Okay, straight away we're going to come into combat again. We have both an enemy aircraft and a ground attack card on display here, meaning we do have to deal with them both. And the way this works, we've got those mixed attacks is we'll fight the enemy aircraft as normal, and then afterwards we will resolve the Flak Panzer. The situation if we'd had 2 enemy aircraft would be we'd compare initiative against them both and basically deal with each attack separately, meaning that sometimes we'll go out of sequence depending on the initiative of the plane we're fighting. But here we'll do the same as before. We'll roll 2 dice, leaving 3 behind, gaining a focus. They're still coming at us from 6 o'clock high, which means we can only really hit them now by using our pilot or our co-pilot to maneuver and give line of sight to somebody who doesn't normally have it. So let's roll, let's do that. We'll maneuver with the co-pilot. We rolled a 2 and a 2. That is rubbish. But with a focus token, we can boost that to a 3, which is still rubbish because the best we can do is get perhaps the right waist gunner to hit, which would mean we would do 1 damage to that plane, and the plane will survive to fight another round. But we do now need to roll for that plane, hoping we don't have too many wounds. It's got a 3, so that's one damage. I have nothing to modify that as far as I'm aware, so that's a 4, and our co-pilot gets hit. Then the Flak Panzer, we will evade the Flak Panzer, so we reduce this ammo roll by 2, which is a 2, it's a 0, meaning there is no effect of that Flak Panzer this turn, which frankly is something of a relief. Okay, keep going, we're about just over a third of the way through so far, so we keep going. We've got another enemy aircraft, same as before, this time it has an initiative of 1, so we'll compare our initiative to them both. I will use 2 dice to roll as ammo dice, 3 dice for initiative, so we get a +1 focus for the first attack and a +2 focus for the next attack, which is actually on the back, so let's do that first one first. Roll the dice, we've rolled a 3 and a 1. And again, we can't do any much with that, I'm afraid. That's pretty rubbish, frankly. So let's just use this turn to tap that radio operator and use the ability here, which is to call in some escort fighters, doing a single damage. So that plane's dead. It's not going to attack us back, but the other aircraft with initiative of 1 there is going to attack, and it's going to be attacking at the 6 o'clock low position. We get a +2 focus because of our 3 initiative, meaning we roll our dice. And I don't actually think we can do a great deal unless we're lucky enough to roll a 4. And we rolled a 3. With the +2 focus, we can boost that to a 5. And on a 5, the ball turret can do a 2 damage. Cool. But that plane will now attack. It's hitting on a 3. There's only a 2, so there's no damage to us from that combat, which is quite fortunate, really. Okay, so we are in a tricky position now where we have a whole bunch of our guys exhausted, as the game terms it, and an unknown card coming our way. Now, I think at this point it might be worth doing the course correct action, which is the navigator, And what it will do is it will allow us to discard a bomb run token and then add a minor damage. But it has to be a minor damage to an engine. That's a terrible idea because that would be 3 damage on our engines and that bit closer to losing the game. Not a strategy guide. Okay, let's ignore what I just said there. Let's turn this card over, and I think we're just going to have to rally unless it's an incredibly good item. And it's a state of shock. Okay, so basically what that means is our guys who are exhausted rally, our guys who are currently fresh become exhausted because they're in that state of shock. But that, I think, is not an unreasonable trade at the moment, because basically the Bombardier and the Navigator are exhausted. Everybody else, not in the left waist, but the other guys are all up and running. Okay, that's not too bad as those cards go. Right, next card. It is a Searchlight. So any more Flak Panzers get a +2 to the damage roll. But I don't think there are any, actually. I think that's come out at the right time, that card. I don't think we have any more Flak Panzers. Now, observant among you might be wondering why this plane here hasn't attacked yet. It's because they only attack when there is another enemy seen in this card display here. Okay, next card. And we have Letters from Home, an event which allows us to ready up to 2 of our exhausted crew members, sorry, an item which allows us to ready some of our exhausted crew. I'll keep hold of that. That's quite handy. We could rally some of these guys now, but I think it might be worth waiting until some of the gunners are in need of refreshing. Okay, next card. Enemy aircraft. It's coming out as 3 o'clock low. It's got 4 damage, hits on a 2+ with extra damage on a 5+. Okay, so now we are going to have a couple of attacks. It's got a 3 initiative, which means we will do the 3 initiative die again, rolling just 2 ammo die. We will get the initiative, but no focus with that plane. Two focus with the other plane. So let's roll the dice for the new plane this time, shall we? We've got a 4 and a 2. We need to hit that 3 o'clock low. 4 at 3 o'clock low. That's not great. What we could do is use the spot action on the co-pilot to +1 to a 5. And if we +1 to a 5, we get to do 2 damage using our ball turret. So that's now a 5 with that benefit of the co-pilot there. And we've done 2 damage to that aircraft. The 2 can be used here to do an extra damage. So that's going to be 3 damage on that aircraft, but it is still going to attack because it has a health of 4. And let's roll that die for that. Hits on a 5, meaning it does us 2 damage. Okay, let's hope it's not anything too important. There's a 3. Oh dear, that's not cool. Our co-pilot. Oh, actually no, at least it's not our co-pilot, it's our pilot, not our co-pilot. Had it been our co-pilot, the guy would have been eliminated and we would have had 1 less reroll at the end of the mission. Second attack, though, or second damage roll, is a 7, and that is our ball turret getting some damage again. Okay, next up, the attack from the less focused. Next up, we have an attack from the less focused enemy aircraft there with an initiative of just 1, meaning we get a +2 focus roll. These guys are all basically tapped out. And that's coming out at 6 o'clock low. Okay, with still 4 damage, or 4 health points available to it. And we've got a 4 and a 5. 5 will do 2 damage down there with the tail gunner. The 4 will do a damage just there for 1. And then we'll tap that guy for the aircraft. And that means we've killed that plane. Okay, that's pretty good. We can then use the letters from home to refresh a couple of these guys, and I'll refresh the ball turret and I'll refresh the co-pilot. When you go through this game, once you get used to how the game works, it's actually really quite quick. We're pretty much at the end in a few cards' time. Another enemy aircraft to survive first though, this time hitting on a 2+ or scoring 3 on a 6. 5 damage available to it and a 2 initiative, attacking low, front and low. Okay, that's not cool. We've got quite a tough card to kill there, and we still have that other enemy. So this time I will again roll 2 dice with a 3 initiative, meaning no focus tokens are to our benefit here, but we do have a +1 there. So let's roll for that first plane. We've got 1 more hit to do on that plane. 2 5s. That plane is coming as 3 o'clock low. A 5 will do 2 damage and destroy it. Okay, cool. 5 has done 2 damage and destroyed that first plane. That's good. Meaning we now have this plane, which is the high position, sorry, the forward position and low, so it's 12 o'clock low. And we need to roll 2 dice again, but we do have a +1 focus for the initiative difference. Let's roll. And we've got a 5 and a 2. 5 plus the 1. Oh no, it's low. I tried to use the flight engineer because you can see 360 degrees, but you can only hit 360 high. We're coming low. Ball turret would do 3 damage on a 6 at the low position, so we'll use both of those there. The 2, what would the 2 do? Basically nothing, so that's just a miss, and we do 3 damage to that plane. But it still has a couple of damage points left, meaning we roll that die. Done a 6, which is a 3 damage. Ouch. Okay. Let's roll. There should be a roll if I can't hit the table. I can't hit a plane, but anyway. So 4. Damn, that's not cool. Our co-pilot has been hit for a second time, and our co-pilot is no more, unfortunately. Second hit from the enemy aircraft is a 9, the right waist gunner, and the final hit is a 7, which is the ball turret gunner, and that gunner is also eliminated, which is unfortunate because we are now rapidly dropping our available rolls at the end of the mission as well. And half of our crew, or all of our crew, with the exception of the pilot and the engineer there, are now exhausted. Okay, I think what I'll do is I will tap this guy to remove the pilot's minor damage, because if that was hit again, we would actually lose the game. Right, not cool at all. But let's keep going. We have another enemy aircraft. They're coming thick and fast now. This is a 4 initiative plane hitting us at 9 o'clock low. 3 plus to hit, 6 does 3 damage. It has itself 3 damage. Okay, so this is tricky because we basically roll 1 die to get an equivalent initiative for that aircraft, or we roll 2 to go down to lose a focus and basically go second. But that 3 would still give us the advantage the next time round. I hope that made sense. It sounded a bit like gibberish to me, but let's have 3 initiative, 2 honor rolls, meaning we will get a focus token for this plane, but this plane will get a focus token for this attack. It's rolled a 1, plus the 1 is a 2, and it does not hit us. That's a narrow escape, quite frankly, but we'll attack it back. Not that I can really do any attacking with it. I probably should not attack, actually. So if I don't attack, I can rally. Okay, fine. Let's do that. Perhaps did that slightly out of sequence, but at least it's, you know, I hadn't rolled or anything. So okay, let's just roll with that. The enemy aircraft, though, that was revealed in a previous turn, is attackable with our higher initiative. And we rolled 2 2s. Which even with the focus token for the higher initiative is only going to be a maximum of 3. Hitting at the front. That plane has got, I think, 3 damage left, no, 2 damage left. So a 3 in the 12 o'clock low position. Okay, well the 2 will actually let the bombardier use the nose gun and do 1 damage, meaning we just have 1 more damage to find. Our co-pilot is sadly no longer with us because we cannot use their benefit to increase the roll any further. I could use the radio operator. The radio operator would let us use the escort fighters, meaning we would do the damage, and no dice needs assigning, but it's dead. Fantastic. We have destroyed that plane. But we do still have that higher initiative plane to deal with when the time comes. Okay, we have a flak jacket. Now, why didn't we have this before? Okay, but we'll take this. It allows us to reduce the roll, so to ignore the result of 1 damage die, so long as it damages between 1 and 10, not the engines. Okay, don't think that's going to be our major problem right now, though, the engines. Moving on to the next card, that plane does not attack because there's no other enemy visible, and we then roll the flak again. This is terrible because that flak is going to attack after us, after the other combat. We can evade with this guy, but we cannot then use his maneuver action to give somebody line of sight on that plane if we need to. On the positive side, though, this regular flak does not give, or does not benefit from those searchlight cards. It's just the flak panzers that benefit from those cards, so we're okay, reasonably-ish. Okay, initiative, I will this time, I'll just roll the 1 die because I don't want to go second with that enemy plane there. That's a 3. It's attacking us 9 o'clock low on a 3. I basically can't hit anything. So that's missed. Oh no, we can hit here for 1 damage. So that plane's got 1 damage. It's going to attack us back though. For a 1. That's cool. No damage on either side. The enemy flak will attack, will evade. And that will mean we reduce this roll by 2. And it's reduced by 2 to 0. So we're cool. That is fine. The enemy flak missed us on that occasion. Okay, still got that plane there to destroy. This is our last card, so we're going to have to rally, I think, to give us any chance of destroying that plane and then hitting the target. Okay, let's see. Enemy flak. Okay. We are going to rally rather than evade. We can't evade because this guy is tapped out anyway, he's exhausted, so we will just not have the evade action in order to rally and hope that we can kill that plane. And this time I think we're going to have to roll more dice, so I'm going to take a risk and do a plus, have a 3 die roll, but accept a 2 focus to that enemy, meaning they will attack first and then I'll get a +2 to that hit roll. Could be risky, but let's try it. Yeah, that's not cool. That's a 5 + 2, that's pushing it way up high, meaning we now have 3 damage from that enemy aircraft. We do have the flak jacket, but let's just remove 1 die of damage from somewhere in the cabin. So let's see how we go. It's a 7. No problem. That's already maxed out in terms of its damage. Next one, let's roll 2. That is a 1. That's our bombardier. That's terrible. That is terrible. Let's discard. Okay, we'll discard this. Our bombardier is very, very lucky. Lives to fight another day. Final roll. No! That's a 1. That's a 1. Our bombardier wasn't so lucky after all. That not only loses a crew member, it also loses the benefit of his special ability to re-roll the dice when we're over the target. So the bombardier is no more. Meaning we now get to roll 3 dice back at that plane and hope we destroy it. And we couldn't have a much worse roll, frankly. That's a 1, a 2, and a 3. It's attacking at the low position. We could use this guy here with a 3 to do 1 damage. And then let's tap this again for the escort fighters to do the extra 2 damage. Plane is destroyed. That's good, because if we wish to attack the target, we need to have no visible enemy aircraft in the sky. So we have killed that plane, which is good from our point of view, but we cannot evade the flak because we rallied using that card rather than choosing the evade action, meaning we get to roll for the flak. That's a 2. The flak hits on a 2. I'm not sure if you can see that with those shiny card covers. So 1 damage. It's a 6. The radio operator takes some damage. Okay, but we are now over the target. We're over the munitions factory and we have to roll our dice. Okay, we're over the target. We now need to roll these ammo dice to try and get the numbers on here, and that is 1 4 and 4 5s. If we can do that, we will lock in the dice onto the target. The more dice we get on there, the better we do at the end of this mission. We have 2 rerolls. The number of rerolls we have is based on how well we've done in the rest of the game, and it's the topmost exposed space above your highest damage dice remaining. If we had not lost our 3 colleagues, we would have had 5 rerolls in total. But let's roll, see what we can do. I'd be very surprised if we actually do successfully at this mission. Okay, we have a 5 and a 6. Those dice, well, one of those dice at least, is locked in. The others are going to be re-rolled. So this is our first re-roll. And we have a 4, 2 2s and a 6. We'll lock the 4 in, meaning we have to get 3 5s on our next roll to win this game. And we've got none. Okay. We have not fully destroyed our target, but we have done quite well. We've got to the end of our mission. Some of our crew are still alive. 2 engines are working normally, and we've managed to hit the target at least partially. So let's see how we did. And there is this track here that we read from, and we calculate our points, and depending on how high our point value is depends on how we've done. Okay, so we score 1 point for each of our black major damage cubes remaining on the damage track. That's 2. Fantastic start. Then we score 1 point for each dice successfully on the target. That's 2. We have scored 4 points, which according to this track here is an unremarkable expedition. Well, there we go. What an evaluation from the game there. I hope you have enjoyed this playthrough. It's a fun little game. It's completely free. Not that difficult to make at all. Just need to put some cards inside some card sleeves and find some dice and some cubes. You do get these tokens with the game, and if you don't have any cubes, you do get tokens you can make as well. I've just chosen to use these for the purposes of the video. Okay, that's it, the end, and I hopefully will see you next time.